Hello, gentlemen. I hope you've had a good weekend. We are going to be working on a play by a gentleman by the name of August Wilson. And I'm purposely not saying the name of the title because that's going to be one of the things we're going to be doing today is actually trying to figure out if we can guess the name of the title. Now, it's very possible you've already heard the name of the title from some other student, but hopefully you're just trying to figure it out. And if you know the name of the title, hopefully you don't know what the play's about. At any rate, as Monday, I wanted to take a moment to kind of talk through the week. So really quickly, go ahead and pass out, if you haven't already, the weekly schedule, the AOW, and tonight's homework. So you can pause this as soon as everything's got it. Go ahead and continue it. All right, so for the new students, especially, because I know in 6th period I have a number of new students, the article of the week works like this. You're going to read an article on Monday, and you're going to turn it in on Friday. Now, this particular week, I might not get it this Friday, but I'll get it really soon thereafter. So I still want you to turn it in on Friday, and Major McCleary is simply going to let me know who did not or who did turn it in on time. And if you turn it in on time, you get full credit. If you don't turn it in on time, you're not going to get full credit. So what you're going to do is you're going to read this article. I would suggest doing this sooner than later. Don't wait until the end of the week to do so. And when you're reading it, take a pen and annotate it. And what you're doing is you're going to try to grab ideas that are interesting to you, things that struck you as being fascinating, interesting, perplexing, questions that you had, things you wanted to talk about, things you wish that the article had gone into more detail, disbelief, personalizations, any of those type of things that you can think of, and you want to do at least 3 to 4 really good ones as you're reading it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to write me, handwritten is perfectly fine, a 5-paragraph response. Now, before you groan and think I just wrote you a paper, I don't want you to think about it as a long 5-paragraph. This is going to be basically a little over a page handwritten. So think of it as a 1 to 2 sentence introduction. It basically says, this article is about blank. That's it. Then you're going to look through those annotations, find the 3 strongest things you want to write about, and write 1 paragraph on one, 1 paragraph on the other, 1 paragraph on the third one, and then give me a little bitty ending. And that's what you're going to do. Then as we continue through this week, you can look, there's other assignments. I don't have it directly in front of me, so I want you guys to look through it and talk it through. Make sure you understand everything that you need to do. Later in this week, we're going to be watching a video. We're going to be reading some supplemental information and just kind of taking notes on things. And then also we have a vocab that's due on Friday as well. So a lot of little things that are due on Friday, so don't wait until Thursday night. Get it done earlier. Now, as far as what we're doing today, we are going to be talking about August Wilson, making some guesses on the meaning of this play. Now, last week you looked at some stuff on the Alabama Slave Code, you looked at the Bill of Rights. You can see that your homework tonight is to look through the Jim Crow laws, so you know that the story's got something to do with slavery. So that's going to help you get a sense of it. But let's start with the source material of where this even came about. So August Wilson got the concept for this play from this painting. It's a painting by Romare Bearden. I believe Bearden is from Pittsburgh. I could be wrong about that, but I know that August Wilson is from Pittsburgh. So he sees this painting and he thought, that's it. That's the play. That's the play I'm going to write. And it's interesting, this quote from Romare Bearden is very similar in many ways to what August Wilson does. My aim is not to paint about the Negro in America in terms of propaganda, but to reveal through pictorial complexities the richness of a life I know. And I really do honestly think that what's really strong about August Wilson's work is that, yes, his plays are wonderful, and he does paint a picture with words, but what he really wants to do is to reveal complexities, to see the richness of the Lycée knows, to see the problems within the communities and the joys within the communities, and to try to talk through, like, how does it mean to be African American in America? And so he sees this and it speaks to him. So this image helps him write the play. So what I want you to ask yourself is, what is the effect does the painting have on you? Or what feelings or emotion does the painting make you think of? And any other words that just come to mind. So what effect does the painting have on you? Take a moment and write a response, just your own words. What are the emotions that you can feel about it? Does it give you any emotions? And if not, why not? And then just any words that come to mind, leading us towards what might this play be about and what is the title of the play. So take a moment and do that. When you guys are ready, come back to me. All right. So hopefully you've had a chance to talk through and discuss. Even though you might be completely wrong, at this point there is no right or wrong. Now the next thing we're going to do is what's called a tea party. Tea party is designed to be a social way to kind of learn a few things, and so we're going to use it in class today. And so this is the way it works. Mr. McCleary's been given lines from the script, and to simply cut those lines out so that each line is an individual line. And then he's going to give you those lines. So take a moment and do that, and then come back to me when you're finished. All right. Now what you're going to do is you're going to share your lines with as many people as possible in this room. Coming up to them, reading the line, listening to their line, discussing how these lines might be related. Are they said by the same person, or are they talking to the same person? Do they have words that seem to be a person's name? What's going on with it? What do these words mean? What does this line mean? And then as you gather and you listen to other people as they read, you're going to start seeing some patterns, hopefully. And so hopefully you'll be able to look at it and go, okay, this one means this one means this. Okay, I think I see what this one means. And hopefully together you guys will get a sense of what this is. So take a moment and write a simple paragraph in which you say, this is what this title of this play is, and this is what I think it means now that I've seen some lines from the show. So take a moment, do that, and then press play again. Alright, so now what I've done is I took all those different words that I put out and I put it into Wordle. And with Wordle, what it does is it creates an image based on words, based on the amount of times the words are used. So piano is used more than any other word, so piano jumps out. Sutter is a word that it's used more than other words, so it jumps out. Got is used. Gonna, ain't, all these other words that you can see. And so it gives you a sense of what is important, at least to these lines. And so piano is obviously important. It was both in the painting and now we see it jumping out. So this is a play about a piano. Now Sutter's a weird one. That is actually a name of someone. So if that doesn't make sense to you as a word that you recognize, that is why. It's because it's somebody's name. So look around and see if you can find any other words that might be names of characters. And so pause it for a second and see what you can see. Alright, so next, we've had a couple times where we're trying to figure out what the name of this title of this play is. So in the next one, I'm going to give you that information. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch sort of a trailer for a play. Years ago in the 1980s, Yale Repertory Theater produced this play in its original production, and then that play eventually went to Broadway. So Yale Repertory Theater did this play again the first year that I taught this play. It came out in 2011. I was teaching it for the first time in 2011. And so I saw this and I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I put it on. And interestingly enough, a friend of mine from the Atlanta theater scene is actually in this production. She admittedly has the smallest part, but she does have a part in it. So we're going to watch this, and so what I want you to do is watch it and try to get a better idea of the characters, the style of the play, and the setting. So we're going to actually listen to this twice. Once to just listen to it, and then once I'll make some comments as it goes.
Oh Lord, Gallowa, oh Lord, Berta, Berta, oh Lord, Gallowa, raise them up higher, let them drop on down, oh, raise them up higher, let them drop on down, oh, don't know the difference when the sun goes down, oh, don't know the difference when the sun goes down, oh, Bertie, Maria, and she living at ease, oh, Bertie, Maria, and she living at ease, oh, every new Mary, Mary, railroad man, oh, when you marry, marry, railroad man, oh, every day is a Sunday dollar in your hand, oh, every day is Sunday dollar in your hand, oh, Berta, Berta, oh Lord, yeah, oh, Berta, Berta, oh Lord, yeah, oh, Berta, Berta, oh Lord, yeah, oh, Berta, Berta, oh Lord,
All right, now we're going to watch that again. And this time I'm going to just kind of talk it through. I'm going to turn it down just a tad bit and see if we can just play this again. So as you're watching it, what I want you to look for is look for costumes. Who seems to be the main character? Are these characters friends? Have they seen each other in a long time? Or they see each other every day? Are they all the same economic status? Are there people here that have more money or have less money? Obviously, music is important. The play is called The Piano Lesson, so we see lots of music in this. Try to figure out what time period this might be. That's Joni Savitt-Pravett, the one with the pink. That's my friend. So look at the furniture. Look at the objects like the stove and the refrigerator. So what year is this, do you think? It's got a lot of laughter in it, but there's also moments where it seems like it might be people yelling at each other at the same time. So is this a drama or a comedy or some combination of those things? So just try to think it through. Get together with a group, take a moment, and write down what you think this story's about because of what. What is it that you saw that makes you think that it might be this? The main character seems to be, and try to figure out which one of those people might be the main character. Where are we? Are we in the South? Are we in the North? Are we in a small town, in a big city? What we might be? And who are these people to each other? And is this a comedy or drama? Take a moment, write down your thoughts on it. There isn't a right answer or a wrong answer. You're just trying to figure out what the answer is. When you get finished, just press play again, and we'll continue with this. This next one is just to give you a sense of who our playwright August Wilson is. And so first I thought we'd watch a poem that he wrote. I'm not sure when this particular film was made. It seems to be some sort of documentary from the 70s or the early 80s, but I'm not 100% sure. I've never been able to find a written copy of this poem. I don't know if he just made it up for this video or if this is something that he published and I've just never been able to find it. But I really like this poem. It's very complex. It's just kind of hard to figure out. So listen to it and see if you can figure it out.
That's right. You can't take this word out of this poem, man.
This is a poem I wrote for my grandfather. And since I never knew my grandfather, speaking in a generational sense, he's a generational grandfather, so it's your grandfather. Well, it's all of us grandfather. His chest stripped open to reveal a raven, huge, with sharp talons, a song stuck in his throat. And beneath the feathers, beneath the shudder and rage, the pages of a book closed, and the raven took flight. Bynum Cutler, savage, mule trainer, singer, shaper of wood and iron. Bynum Cutler, who spread his seed over the 9 counties in North Carolina. Seed carried in the wind, by the wind in the sails of ships, and planted among the canebrake, among Georgia pine, among bowls of cotton, planted in the fertile fields of women who snapped open like fresh berries, like cities in full season, welcoming its architects and ennobling them with gifts of blood.
Really dark, really complex, but with some wonderful imagery, dealing with the issues of slavery, violence, and that great metaphor of spreading his seed across. It's something that we're going to see in this play as well, taking something that has so many double meanings that Spreading His Seed is a reference both to farming, but also procreation, that he had many children. And I don't know who Bynum Cutler is, but the way he describes him and talking about how he's sending his seeds through the wind and the sails of ships seems to suggest to me that maybe he's talking about a slave master who abused his own slaves. And it's just a fascinating poem, and there are elements that are going to show up in the play from that as well. And in many ways, August Wilson is a poet who just happens to do plays. And even though there's little poetry in this play, some of the dialogue does come off poetical. He's best known for what is called the century cycle. And ultimately what this is, that August Wilson did a play, if I'm not mistaken, it was Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. It might have been Joe Turner's Come and Gone. I can't remember exactly which one he did first. But he wrote a play in isolation, not with the intention of it being a part of a much larger process. But he wrote this play, and it just so happened to take place in the past, somewhere. Either if it was Joe Turner, it was 1910. If it was Ma Rainey, it was 1920. And it just took place in like 1923 or something to that effect. And he then wrote another play that also took place in the past, that starred completely different people. It was a completely different play, but just so happened to be also in the past about an African-American family. And then he got this idea with a third play that he knew was going to be in the past. And he realized that what he could do is create a group of plays that try to capture the African-American experience through the entire 20th century. So looking at the play that takes place in the 1900s, like from 1 to 09, and then one that takes place in the 19-teens, one in the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, so forth and so on, all the way up to the 1990s. And these plays are not needed to understand the other plays. Like, you don't need to see the 1910s and 0s and 20s in order to understand the one that takes place in the 1930s. But there is this connective tissue of people and families and crisis and frustrations and celebrations that kind of go through all of them. And I know that HBO is in the process of producing a number of these. I don't know if they're doing all 10. I think they are, but I'm not sure. And I know that Denzel Washington just did Fences earlier this year, or late last year, where we have the 1950s story. And the piano lesson is the 1930s story. So again, if you saw Fences, these are not connected stories. It's not a sequel to it, but they all have a lot of similar focuses and themes. And that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to sort of capture what he saw of the life that he saw and its many complexities. And I really think that you guys are going to enjoy this one. Mouse has always been like the book that was the easiest sell of the books that we've ever read here at Riverside. And this unit is, in my personal opinion, the favorite of everyone, because this is just an absolutely wonderful play. So what I want you guys to do with the rest of this time is, if you have time to get to the homework, then just jump right into Jim Crow laws and reading Jim Crow laws. And luckily we have Major McCleary here, who was a history teacher, so perhaps he can answer questions that not even I can answer. And that's what we're doing. So thank you very much. I hope this was useful.